What if the key to Seattle's NBA redemption was locked in a deal 3,000 miles away? In 2008, Seattle basketball fans watched helplessly as their team packed up and moved to Oklahoma City. For 15 years, they've been wandering in a basketball desert, their journey marked by false hopes and determined activism to bring the NBA back home. The compass pointing to their return? A clear franchise valuation, which arrived with the Boston Celtics' historic $6.1 billion sale. With Climate Pledge Arena already built with NBA locker rooms and Seattle Kraken owner Samantha Holloway eligible to pursue a team, the odyssey of Seattle fans might finally be approaching its triumphant conclusion. What if I told you the fate of Seattle basketball hinged on a deal happening 3,000 miles away in Boston? It sounds crazy, but the record-shattering $6.1 billion sale of the Boston Celtics might be the domino that finally brings the NBA back to the Emerald City. The Celtics deal represents the highest valuation ever for a North American sports franchise. This massive price tag has shattered previous records and redefined what sports teams are worth in today's market. The valuation landscape has transformed dramatically since 2014, when Ballmer purchased the Clippers for $2 billion, a price once considered outlandish, but now looks like a steal compared to recent sales like the Phoenix Suns at around $4 billion in 2023. The structure of the Celtics deal reveals a fascinating story of its own. Private equity heavyweight William Chisholm and his investment group are taking a 51% controlling stake initially, with plans to acquire full ownership by 2028. This staggered approach demonstrates both the immense value of the franchise and the strategic planning required for transactions of this magnitude. This groundbreaking deal not only shatters records, but also paves the way for cities like Seattle. NBA owners have been waiting for exactly this, a concrete valuation benchmark to determine expansion fees. Think of it as setting the market price. Without knowing what a premier franchise is worth, the league couldn't confidently establish the cost for a brand new team. For perspective, the Celtics just edged out the NFL's Washington Commanders $6.05 billion to claim the top spot in American sports valuations. What makes this valuation even more remarkable is that the Celtics don't own their arena. Unlike teams such as the Warriors, who control their entire real estate footprint, the Celtics are tenants at TD Garden. Their $6.1 billion price tag is based almost entirely on the team itself and its storied legacy. 17 championship banners certainly contribute to that value. Here's where things get really interesting for Seattle fans. There's a hidden connection between the Celtics sale and Seattle's NBA aspirations that few people are discussing. Seattle Kraken owner Samantha Holloway's family, including her late father David Bonderman, owned a piece of the Celtics. NBA rules explicitly prevent ownership stakes in multiple franchises, a roadblock that has quietly complicated Seattle's path back to the league. With the Celtics changing hands, that obstacle disappears. The timing couldn't be more perfect, as NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has signaled expansion discussions will begin in earnest this fall. The stars are aligning in a way Seattle basketball fans haven't seen since 2008. The NBA didn't just leave Seattle in 2008, it left behind a city with unfinished business and unexpected roadblocks. While fans focused on arena issues and ownership groups, Commissioner Adam Silver had a secret checklist that needed 3 specific boxes checked before the Sonics could ever return. And the final piece of that puzzle? It was hiding in plain sight within the ownership structure of the team that just made headlines in Boston. When the Sonics packed their bags for Oklahoma City 15 years ago, Seattle fans began what felt like an endless marathon. Year after year, hope would rise and fall like the Seattle rain. But behind closed doors, the NBA had established clear parameters for expansion. Adam Silver, the league's commissioner, deliberately delayed expansion discussions while waiting for 3 crucial dominoes to fall. Labor peace, achieved in April 2023 with a 7-year collective bargaining agreement that aligned players and owners through 2030. Media deals, secured in summer 2024 with a massive $76 billion rights package that established the financial runway for growth. Franchise valuation, the final puzzle piece now materializing with the Boston Celtics sale. For longtime fans like Jim, who's kept his faded Sonics jersey in his closet since 2008, Each development felt like finding another piece of a shattered championship trophy. Every time Silver mentioned expansion, Jim told me, I'd get my hopes up, then watch them crash when nothing happened. Now I understand he was working through a checklist all along. With the first two conditions met, Silver's recent statement signaled a major shift. He declared the league would engage this fall in earnest in the expansion process. The timing wasn't random, it was the culmination of years of strategic planning that would finally determine if and how many teams the NBA might add. But Seattle faced a hidden obstacle few fans realized existed. While the city waited for Silver's expansion checklist, the most promising ownership candidate, Kraken owner Samantha Holloway, was quietly sidelined by an NBA rule many overlooked. Holloway, daughter of the late David Bonderman, was part of a family with ownership stake in the Boston Celtics. This created a direct conflict with NBA regulations prohibiting ownership in multiple franchises. Her perfect credentials for bringing basketball back to Seattle meant nothing as long as her family maintained their Celtics connection. This is why the Celtics sale represents such a pivotal moment for Seattle basketball. Beyond establishing that crucial franchise valuation benchmark, it eliminates the ownership conflict, blocking Holloway's path to bringing the NBA back to the Emerald City. With her family's stake in the Celtics being sold, the third and final obstacle has been removed, potentially clearing the way for the Sonics' return after 15 years of waiting. While the basketball world was fixated on the Celtics sale, Seattle was sitting on a secret weapon worth $1.2 billion that makes them virtually impossible to ignore. The NBA's largest metro area without a team wasn't just waiting for a franchise, they were building one of the most advanced arenas in sports. Climate Pledge Arena stands as Seattle's slam dunk statement to the basketball world. Stepping inside feels like entering a cathedral built for the game's return, every detail meticulously crafted to NBA specifications despite not having a team. This wasn't wishful thinking, it was strategic planning that positioned Seattle light years ahead of competitors. The visitors' locker room tells the story. These aren't makeshift conversions, they're purpose-built facilities with pro-level amenities currently sitting empty, waiting for NBA players to claim them. Seattle built a $1.2 billion "If you build it, they will come" monument that speaks volumes about the city's resilience and determination to reclaim what was lost. This infrastructure advantage catapults Seattle ahead of other expansion candidates. While Las Vegas generates buzz as a potential NBA destination, it lacks what Seattle already has: a turnkey, NBA-ready facility standing tall and operational. Other cities pitch concepts and renderings, while Seattle simply says, "We're ready now." The arena has already proven itself on the NBA stage. Preseason games at Climate Pledge demonstrated that the venue doesn't just meet standards, it exceeds them. These weren't merely exhibitions, they were emotional dress rehearsals filled with passionate fans who've kept the Sonics spirit alive for years. This readiness, combined with Seattle's market demographics, makes it the clear frontrunner for expansion. As the largest U.S. metropolitan area without an NBA team, excluding San Bernardino and Riverside counties within the Los Angeles market, Seattle represents an untapped basketball goldmine. The region's unique blend of population density, disposable income, and corporate presence creates perfect conditions for an NBA franchise to thrive. The ownership picture is equally promising. Beyond the Kraken ownership group, other high-profile figures have expressed interest in bringing basketball back to the Emerald City. Kevin Durant's public interest in joining an ownership group adds particular intrigue. The NBA star, drafted by the Sonics in 2007, potentially returning to help resurrect the franchise. Of course, the price of admission has skyrocketed. With the Celtics commanding $6.1 billion without owning their arena, expansion fees have entered another stratosphere, projected between $4 to $5 billion per team, compared to Charlotte's $300 million in 2004. This powerful combination of world-class facilities, market potential, and viable ownership makes Seattle's NBA return feel inevitable rather than aspirational. The city hasn't just been waiting, it's been strategically positioning itself for this precise moment, building not just an arena, but a basketball homecoming years in the making. The pieces are finally coming together. After 15 years of empty promises, Seattle basketball fans can genuinely feel optimistic. The historic Celtics valuation has provided the financial benchmark needed, removing the final obstacle to expansion. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has committed to beginning expansion discussions in earnest this fall, a crucial signal that the moment Seattle has waited for is approaching. While Seattle leads the pack, Las Vegas makes a compelling case, with international markets possibly entering the conversation. During the NBA's absence, Seattle built a world-class arena, demonstrated overwhelming fan support, and assembled viable ownership options. Will the Sonics finally reclaim their home court? The 15-year wait might finally be approaching its triumphant conclusion.